राम नाम जप लीजे प्राणी, राम नाम जप लीजे प्राणी, कोटिक पाप कटे रे मेरु मन, राम ही राम रटे रे। जन्म जन्म के खत जो पुराने, जन्म जन्म के खत जो पुराने, नाम ही लेता फटे रे मेरु मन, नाम ही लेता फटे रे मेरु मन, राम ही राम रटे रे मेरु मन, राम ही राम रटे रे। राम नाम जप लीजे प्राणी, राम नाम जप लीजे प्राणी, कोटिक पाप कटे रे मेरु मन, राम ही राम रटे रे। कनक कटोरी अमृत भरियो, कनक कटोरी अमृत भरियो, पीवत कौन नटे रे मेरु मन, पीवत कौन नटे रे मेरु मन, राम ही राम रटे रे मेरु मन, राम ही राम रटे रे। मीरा कहे प्रभु हरि अविनाशी, मीरा कहे प्रभु हरि अविनाशी, तन मन नाही पटे रे मेरु मन, तन मन नाही पटे रे मेरु मन, राम ही राम रटे रे मेरु मन, राम ही राम रटे रे। राम नाम जप लीजे प्राणी, राम नाम जप लीजे प्राणी, कोटिक पाप कटे रे मेरु मन, राम ही राम रटे रे मेरु मन, राम ही राम रटे रे मेरु मन, राम ही राम रटे रे। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। राम चरण सुखदाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। राम चरण सुखदाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। जिहि चरण से निकसी सुरसरी शंकर जटा समाई। जट शंकरी नाम पर्यो है त्रिभुवन तारनाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। दंडकवन प्रभु पवन कीन ऋषियन त्रास मिटाई। सोई प्रभु त्रिलोक के स्वामी कनक मृगा संग चाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। राम चरण सुखदाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। कपि सुग्रीवा बाधु भय व्याकुल तिनि जय छत्र फिराई। रिपु कोनुज विभीषण निशिचर परस लंका पाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। शिव सनकादिक अरु ब्रह्मादिक शेष सहस मुख गाई। तुलसीदास मारुत सुत के प्रभु। तुलसीदास मारुत सुत के प्रभु निज मुख करत बधाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। राम चरण सुखदाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई। We start now? One more? Okay. Shiva, 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 Nam Sumara Nara, Sakala Manoratha Purana Kari. Shiva, 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 Nam Sumara Nara. Shiva, 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 Nam Sumara Nara, Sakala Manoratha Purana Kari, Sakala Manoratha Purana Kari. Shiva, 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 Nam Sumara Nara. Ravana nama diyo dritha manase, Ravana nama diyo dritha manase, sakala deva aagya siradhari. Ravana nama diyo dritha manase, sakala deva aagya siradhari. Shiva, 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 Nam Sumara Nara. Nandi Gana jab sumaran kino, Nandi Gana jab sumaran kino, Kala Pasat Kala Nivari. Nandi Gana jab sumaran kino, Kala Pasat Kala Nivari. Shiva, 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 Nam Sumara Nara. Upamanyu Muni Kare Tapasya, Upamanyu Muni Kare Tapasya, Dutha Samudra Kiyo Bada Bhari. Upamanyu Muni Kare Tapasya, Dutha Samudra Kiyo Bada Bhari. Shiva, 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 Brahmanandaya hi varamange, Brahmanandaya hi varamange, Bhakti dana dije Tripurari, Brahmanandaya hi varamange, Bhakti dana dije Tripurari. Shiva 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 Nam Smaranara, Shiva 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 Nam Smaranara, Sakala Manoratha Purankari, Sakala Manoratha Purankari, Shiva 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 Nam Smaranara, Shiva 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 Nam Smaranara. So I see Tad in the audience. You may have heard this talk before. So, he's our long-time devotee from St. Louis. So what is the mind? We speak of the mind, but we rarely stop to think what we mean by the mind. If somebody asks you, what is the mind? We would need to think about it. It wouldn't be an instant reply that, oh, the mind is this. Because we rarely think about these things. So if you ask, what is the mind? There are two views. One is dualism. It says that the mind is not material. The mind is something other than matter. And this is an old view, like the old philosophers used to think of the mind as different from matter. So when the body dies, the mind may survive. So they say the mind is like a river. What is a river? Water flowing. So what is the mind? Thoughts flowing. So the river follows the riverbed, the water follows the riverbed. So the thoughts follow the channels in our brain. That is the dualistic point of view that says the mind is not matter. Then you have the materialistic point of view, the modern view that says there is no mind. But then we speak about mind, the scientists speak about the mind, but they say the mind is nothing but a function of the brain. We have a brain, which is material, and what we call mind is nothing but a phenomenon that is somehow how the brain works. The brain works in such a way that there is a phenomenon we call the mind, but it's not different from the brain. They say when the brain dies, when we die and the brain disintegrates, there is no mind left. So there is no such thing as a mind. It's just a function of the brain. And they can even give you proof of it. To give you an example, suppose somebody is chronically depressed. They go to the doctor and the doctor prescribes a pill. He says, take this pill and it will take care of your mental condition. So the person takes the pill, then what happens? This pill would change the chemistry of the brain. The chemistry and the workings of the brain will be altered by this pill. As a result of the change in the chemistry and the workings of the brain, the nature of the thoughts that happen in that brain will change. So you have negative thoughts, and because of this little pill, now you turn to positive thoughts. As a result of a change in the thinking pattern, your feelings will change. If you have a negative thoughts, you will feel sad. If you have positive thoughts, you will feel happy. So from the pill comes a change in the chemistry of the brain, then a change in the thinking patterns, then a change in your feelings. When the feelings change, your behavior will change. A person who is depressed will have less energy, less enthusiasm. They will not be inclined to socialize much. They will not be inclined to take up new projects. Then, now what happened? This little pill, the thinking has changed. They feel happy now. So the behavior changes. So because they're no longer depressed, now they're ready to socialize and take up new projects and try new challenges. So the feeling changes, the behavior changes, and then the personality changes because that person now has changed their behavior. So people say, oh, the personality has changed. Huh? He was depressed. Now he's cheerful. He must be on something. They say like that. Huh? He must be on something. Yeah, that's the little pill. Huh? He must be on something. So this is an argument that the materialists use to prove that you don't need a mind, that the brain is in control. You take a little pill, you change the chemistry of the brain, and the whole personality will change. Everything changes. So when the brain is destroyed, that's the end of what we call the mind. This is the prevailing view today. Now, what does Vedanta have to say? Vedanta has studied this subject in depth. Vedanta calls the mind the Antakarana, the inner organ, which is a very interesting name for the mind. So we have the external organs of knowledge and action. We have our eyes, our ears, our nose. So what do they do, these external organs? Well, you can say we see with our eyes, and we hear with our ears, and we smell with our nose, etc. But do we really? So what do these organs do? They gather information. They gather information. Your eyes are capturing the light. Your ears are capturing the vibrations in the air. And they are conveying that to the brain or the mind. And the brain translates that information into something we can understand. And we say, oh, there is a chair there. But the eye is not the one who sees the chair. The eye only gathers the information, and it's the brain that tells you that's a chair. So Vedanta calls that inner organ the Antakarana, the mind. That is how we see. So we see through the mind. We hear through the mind. We smell through the mind. And the external organs only gather information and present it to the mind, and the mind translates it for us. So Vedanta has even given different names to different functions of this inner organ. The first one is manas. It is when you're trying to know something, you're trying to perceive something. To give you an example from the old days, somebody is walking in the forest looking for food. They come across a tree. From a distance, they see a tree. And they think, is it safe to eat the fruit or not? They are deliberating. That is manas. You are seeing something for the first time. What is it? Can I eat it or not? Can I trust this person or not? We are doing this all the time. Shall I turn left or right? We are all the time taking these decisions. Shall I have toast or cereal for breakfast? Small and big, we are always deliberating what to do. That is manas. Then comes chitta. Chitta is the store, it stores our past impressions. So you see something and then you refer to chitta. Chitta says, that's a mango tree. You have seen it before. You can eat it, no problem. Now, we don't realize this process. It's automatic. We see a mango tree, we say, oh, that's a mango tree. There's no need to think about it. But Vedanta says, no, this is very quick. We don't perceive the process that you see something and you instantly compared it to something you have seen. It may be a tree you have never seen before. It may be a fruit you have never seen before. Or it may be a mango tree that you have seen before. So manas deliberates and chitta gives you the memory. I have seen this before, so I compare the present time perception with my past perception. Then comes buddhi. The buddhi determines, is another aspect of the mind. The buddhi will say, do this or do that. The buddhi says, yes, this person, the way they look, the way they speak, the way they behave, it matches trustworthy people I have met in the past. So I can trust this person, so I will trust them. So the buddhi says, I will eat the fruit. I will trust this person. And then the final ingredient of the mind is ahamkara. I do. So I deliberate, I remember, I decide. What is the common factor in all these sentences? I. So Vedanta says, I is also a function of the mind. When we say I, we are misidentifying our real self with the mind. Now, somebody could ask, if ahamkara, the sense of ego, is a function of the mind, then where is the real me? Where do I stand? Where is my real self? The Katha Upanishad gives a beautiful illustration to show us where we stand, where we are. All of you must have heard it, the example of the chariot. There is a chariot going at full speed along a road. So this chariot is our physical body. If we want to go somewhere, say somebody says, can you come to my house for dinner? You say yes. Can you leave your body behind? You cannot. You have to take your body whether you like it or not. Now, you may think I am the body, or you may think I have a body. Either way, you're stuck with it. You cannot leave it behind. If somebody invites you somewhere, you have to go. You could say, I go with Zoom, but then you cannot eat. So there is a limit to Zoom. So the chariot is our physical body. We go places with our body. We can't help it. Then the road is sense experience. The eyes want to see, the ear wants to hear. So we are traversing this road of sensory experience. Then the chariot is pulled by horses, very powerful horses. They are the senses. As we spoke, the eye, the nose, the skin, the tongue, all these senses want to experience. These are the horses that pull the chariot. When you think about it, we are always being pulled by our senses. It's a very apt illustration. The body is a chariot, the senses are the horses. Just like our eyes will draw us in one direction, our tongue will say, have some ice cream. Then our eyes will say, watch a movie. They are always pulling us in all directions. So these are the horses pulling the chariot, do this, do that. Then there is a charioteer sitting on the chariot, guiding the horses, turn right, turn left. This is the buddhi that says, I will do this, I will do that. And the buddhi is connected to the senses through the reins. Those are the manas, the mind, that says, Should I do this or should I do that? So when you look at the example, it's a wonderful way to illustrate our psychophysical being. The buddhi is deciding, turn right, turn left, through the deliberating power controlling the senses. So far so good. But where are we? Where is the I? Vedanta says the I is the passenger. The real self is doing nothing. Our real self is sitting in the chariot watching. We are not the charioteer. We are not the horses. We are not the chariot. So that is where we stand, completely detached from this psychophysical being. The ego is an aspect of the mind, the ahamkara. So it's a matter of experience. It's not something that you can understand rationally, that we have nothing to do with this body and mind. But the truth is we don't. Now, Swami Vivekananda made a very interesting statement. He says, thought is as much material and as much in nature as the body is. Both matter and mind exist in a third, a unity which divides itself into the two, into matter and mind. Unity is the Atman, the real self. So he says that thought is material and is in nature, just as the body is. How to understand that thought is material? This is what Swamiji says. Thought is material. Well, Vedanta says, thought is material, but it's subtle matter. Now, that subtle is an important word to add. We are familiar with gross matter, and Vedanta says the mind is subtle matter. Now, what are the characteristics of subtle matter? You cannot manipulate it, you cannot work on it. So what is this subtle matter? It has two characteristics. First, it is perishable. So the mind, these thoughts, come to an end. There is an end to it. When? When we become illumined. When we become aware of our real nature, when we merge with Brahman, with the Supreme Self, then that mind ceases to exist. That is why it is perishable. That is why it's part of nature. It comes to an end. And the second trait is, it is not self-conscious. The mind is not self-conscious. These are the two reasons why Vedanta says the mind is fine matter, subtle matter. Now, this may sound strange because I am conscious, I know I exist. How can this mind that is conscious, that is aware, be non-conscious? According to Vedanta, the mind is not conscious. It's a part of nature, just like matter is. So it appears to be conscious because it reflects the consciousness of the Atman, of the self. To give you an example to make it understandable, you have the sun in the sky. It's very bright. It's a huge star. You cannot look at it. It will blind your eyes. Now you take a small mirror, insignificant mirror, and you reflect the sun on the mirror. And you try to look at it, and it's just as bright. You can't look at the mirror. Now, one is a huge star. The other one is a reflection. It doesn't really exist, but that reflection is just as blinding as the real sun. There's no difference. It's just as harmful. We can't bear it, and it's only a reflection. So Vedanta says the mind is just reflecting the consciousness of the self, of our true self, and appears to be conscious, is not. It's just a reflection. It's borrowing that consciousness from the self. These are the two reasons why Vedanta says the mind is subtle matter. So it's not different from matter, like the dualists said, the old philosophers of the olden days. And it is not also, like the materialists say, just matter, just brain. It is something else. It is something subtle. But the important point is, it is part of the phenomenal nature. It is perishable. It is not conscious. It comes to an end. And is part of this universe. It's part of nature. The Atman, the Brahman, the self, is transcendental, is beyond this nature. So the mind cannot reach there. That is why Sri Ramakrishna said, you can never understand God through the mind. You can only merge in God, and then the mind disappears. So Vedanta says that when our life comes to an end, this mind survives the death of the body because it's subtle matter. It continues to exist. Then what happens? We are born again, and we continue with the mind from the previous birth. Now, one way to understand this would be, you have a computer, and you are running some software on that computer. Now, the hardware is the body, and the software is the mind. Now, when the computer breaks down, you need a new computer, right? And nowadays, what they do, they upload everything on the cloud. So every day you upload to the cloud. So it's very straightforward. You get a new computer, you download from the cloud, you have the software running, exactly where you stopped with the old computer. So even from modern science, the Vedantic view is making more and more sense. We can see the parallels. It's just like the cloud. You, in your present life, you are constantly uploading this software called the mind. All the impressions, all your desires, all your good and bad, dharma, it's all there. Then the body breaks down and you need a new body. From the cloud, the mind comes down and you continue exactly where you stopped. So it's not that hard to understand, really. So that is the first question. What is the mind? Now, shall we ask for questions at this point before we proceed? Anybody has any question? Otherwise, I will continue. Yes. It's perishable. It comes to an end. Yeah, it's temporal. It is, whereas the true self is eternal. It's timeless. It's beyond time and space. Deeper mind. Yeah, these are Sankhya. It's like cosmology, the cosmology of how creation comes into being. But we are not dealing with that now. I mean, there is a universal mind and all that. But basically, talking about the jiva, the embodied soul, we are connected to a body and a mind. Now, modern science says, no, it's only a brain. And what you call mind is how the brain works. Change the brain, the mind changes, no big deal. Vedanta says, no, the mind will survive the brain. It is something different. It's something subtle. Of course, we cannot show it to the scientists, otherwise there would be a revolution in science. So this is the Vedanta view. Now, the sages have experienced this. That is our evidence, that the sages have experienced this. And the proof, you may ask, what is the proof that they have experienced this? Well, the kind of lives they live. They don't want anything from this world, and they're perfectly happy. That is very unusual. Most of us need things from this world to be happy. We are chasing things all the time. But the sages who have realized the self, they don't care for anything. They are not afraid of anything. How is it possible? Something happened to them. So that is the proof that what they say is true.
If I didn't hear you wrong, you mentioned that Sri Ramakrishna said you cannot reach God through mind, something like that. But didn't you also say that the pure mind is nothing but the Atma?
Yes.
So what does it mean?
So I think there are two things there, okay? He said a 1 gallon container cannot hold 10 gallons. So a 1 gallon container is our rational mind. And 10 gallons is God or whatever you want to call it. So our rational mind can never comprehend God. So that is one way to address the tendency, our tendency to try to understand God, to try to make sense of everything. We want to, everything should make sense and we should understand everything in this universe. And that we don't have the capacity. So that is one aspect. So, you know, that even the Vedas say the same thing, that it is beyond mind and speech and thought. When he said that pure mind and pure Atma are the same, that means before you realize the truth, before you merge into Brahman, that mind has to be pure. It has to be free from vasanas. And Shankaracharya also says Chitta Shuddhi comes first. Then you have Brahmagyana. So when you reach that state of the clarity of the mind is such that it is like a mirror without dust. It will reflect the sun, and eventually the sun, it's hard to explain, but it's a matter of experience, realization. You know, take the example of the Mundaka Upanishad, the two birds. So one bird is below, and happy and unhappy by turns according to the fruit it eats. And the bird at the top is majestic, just blissful, unaffected by anything. So this little bird jumps up and up until it merges on the other bird. So it's apparently two. We seem to have a mind, but really it is Brahman all the time. It's nothing but Brahman. There seems to be a distinction. So it's a matter of experience. It's not easy to explain. Many of the sayings of Sri Ramakrishna, they are very simple, just very few words, but they have such depth that it's hard to understand them. So shall we continue with the next? Next question is, should we care about the mind? Do the thoughts matter or not? The materialistic view is that not really, especially the very materialistic view, because there are modern people who do believe. They may be non-believers in God, but they do believe in the power of thought. But there are many people who just discard it as, they call it epiphenomenalism. Epiphenomenalism means whatever does not happen in the real world outside has no consequences. That is their view. So whatever happens here between people in this world of name and space and time and space, so that has consequences. Whatever happens in your head has no consequences. That is their view. So suppose I say to somebody, I love you. So they hear that and they will have a reaction. Even if you don't want to react, the brain automatically will react. So you hear, suppose I say, you are great, you're wonderful. You are sitting there, you don't react, but in your head you are reacting. Suppose I say you are terrible. Nobody likes you. You are sitting there, you don't react, but in your head there is a reaction. Everybody's happy when we praise them, and everybody is annoyed when we criticize them. So they say whatever happens outside has consequences. When you say something to somebody, it has consequences. But they say when you think something, it has no consequences. So if you're sitting there and I think I hate you, nothing happens. You can hate everybody, you can think whatever you like. When I say I love you, the person sitting doesn't know. So I can think whatever I like, there are no consequences. That is the materialistic view. But Vedanta says no. Vedanta says, when we think, there are consequences. When whatever you think has consequences, just like when you say something has consequences, so when you think something, it has an effect. You're producing an effect. So often we don't think about these things, how important it is what we think. Suppose two soldiers went to war. Excuse me. They come back. One of them lost a limb. So everybody tries to help the soldier who lost a limb in the battle, and they do all they can to help him lead a normal life. Another soldier comes back intact, but then after a few months, he loses his job. He gets divorced. He starts drinking. Well, apparently nothing happened to him. But now we know there is something called post-traumatic stress disorder, something like that, PTSD. So there is an injury in the mind. And that injury in the mind can be much worse than losing a limb. So the idea is that thoughts have big consequences, just like a soldier who had an injury in the mind. So whatever you think is like saying something or doing something. Swami Nirakarananda says, we are what our thoughts have made us. So take care about what you think. Words are secondary. Thoughts live, they travel far. We are what our thoughts have made us. Words are secondary. Why do you think Swamiji said words are secondary? Normally words are more important, but he says words are secondary. Exactly, because the words are expressing the thoughts. So thoughts are the main thing, and the words are secondary. You are giving expression to your thoughts when you speak. So first you think, and then you speak. Now you may think, this person is no good. And you tell them, you're wonderful. So you can do that. It's very easy. You can think one thing and say another. But can you feel one way about the person, but think the other way? You'll get totally confused. Suppose somebody, you find them disagreeable, is the type of person you don't like for whatever reason, but you think, I like him very much. You'll get confused. We have to be honest in our heads, in our minds. I like this, I don't like that. That is, we are very honest in our heads, what we like, what we don't like. But when we speak, we can be creative. No problem there. So, do thoughts matter? Yes. According to Vedanta, they are very important. What we think is very important. So what is the use of controlling the mind? What do we gain by that? That will be the next question. Everybody wants to be good, especially spiritual seekers. Our main objective is just to know God, but that seems to be like a faraway goal. We are down here and God is up there, or God is in our hearts, whatever. But the truth is, it seems to be like a far off goal. So what is our immediate thing that we can do? Try to be good. Try to be unselfish. That is accessible to all of us. All of us can try to be good. All of us can try to be unselfish. So we want to be good. We want to do the right thing always, but we fail. We cannot do the right thing at all times. We come up short. So why? Why do we fail? If we sincerely want to do good, every spiritual seeker wants to be good. They want to do the right thing, and they fail. So Arjuna asked this very question in the Gita to Sri Krishna. He says, why do we commit sin? Though against our wishes, forced as it were. Why? Sri Krishna's answer, it is desire, it is anger, of great craving and of great sin. This is your enemy. The words Sri Krishna uses are kama and krodha. Kama means desire. Krodha means anger. These are our enemies, and these are the reason why we fail to do good at all times. Because of our desires, because of our anger. Now, we shouldn't misunderstand this, that desire is bad at all times, under all circumstances. We have lots of desires. So Sri Krishna says, I am desire. God is telling, I am desire. What kind of desire? That is not opposed to dharma. When our desires don't go against dharma, there's nothing wrong with that. These desires come from God. In Manu Smriti, Manu says, Akamasya kriya nasti. Nothing is achieved by a person who has no desires. If you have no desires, you cannot achieve anything. So we shouldn't misunderstand that we should be apathetic, that we should be, just living a boring life. No. Have your desires, but take care that they are not opposed to dharma. That is the idea. Even anger is needed also. There is a place for anger as well. If you say, at work, oh yes, you do whatever you want, no problem. People will walk all over you. So you have to assert yourself and say, what? This is not right. And pretend that you're angry. Sri Ramakrishna said you have to hiss. You shouldn't bite, but you have to hiss. Make a show of anger. So if people see that, oh, this is goody-goody, they're softy, they will take advantage. So if there is a place even for anger, you have to survive in society. So kama and krodha should not be misunderstood. It's not being goody-goody or being just lethargic without any desires. No. If you want to achieve something, achieve it, no problem. But take care that that does not go against dharma. That is the idea. So what is the connection between control of the mind, that is the topic today, and kama and krodha, desire and anger? Well, the answer comes in the second chapter of the Gita, verse 62. Sri Krishna explains how this desire and anger arise in us. Sri Krishna says, thinking of sense objects, attachment to them is formed. From attachment rises desire to possess, and from desire, anger. From anger, delusion, and from delusion comes loss of memory. From loss of memory, ruin of discernment, and from that the person perishes. So that is the evolution, how our lives are ruined. The genesis is thinking, dhyayato. Sri Krishna says the first step towards spoiling our lives is thinking. That is how everything begins. That is why it is important to control our thoughts. So Sri Krishna uses the same words, kama and krodha. So thinking gives rise to all the rest of the problems. And we may think that thinking is not important. But the advertisers, they know this very well. When you're watching some program, they will show you an ad. And somebody's drinking something and is very happy. They don't even have to tell you, buy this drink. There's no need to give you that message. Just the image of somebody blissfully drinking is enough. So you think, okay, I'm not interested in this. You just ignore it. It's just an ad, a silly ad. Then you watch it a second time. And you watch it 10 times. And then one day, it has nothing to do with the ad, of course. It's your own idea. You think, maybe I should try that drink. And then you continue to watch the ad. And then one day you say, I will. I have to have that drink. And we don't make the connection, but the advertisers know very well how the mind works. Just show it again and again and again, and the person will be conditioned, and they will just buy whatever we want to sell them. So that is thinking. Everything starts with thinking. And we think it doesn't matter that We cannot be manipulated or influenced, but the truth is we can be easily manipulated and influenced. So, from thinking, the attachment arises. Maybe I should try this. And then the desire, I should buy this car. I should buy this or that. Thinking, attachment, desire. Then comes anger. What is the connection between anger and desire desire and anger? The connection is this. I want this. It has become a strong desire, and something stands in the way of fulfilling that desire. So I am frustrated, I am angry. One example is Black Friday shopping at Walmart. So you'll see some videos, people are rolling on the ground, grabbing the last TV. Why? Because I saw the TV first. It's the last one. And this person is standing in the way of my TV. And the other person is thinking the same way. And they go to jail. They create a disturbance and they go to jail. So from desire, anger arose. They forgot everything. They went to Walmart to buy a TV set and they end up in jail. So Sri Krishna very clearly states, from thinking comes attachment, from attachment, desire, from desire, anger. Then from anger comes delusion. There's no clear thinking. From delusion, loss of memory. Why am I here? I came to buy a TV set and I am coming to blows. It makes no sense at all. How can they do that? They forgot where they are. They forgot who they are. Then from loss of memory, destruction of discernment. What is right? What is wrong? I forgot all about it. I just let anger take over and I lose track of what is right and what is wrong. And then finally, the person perishes. Life is ruined. I give you another example that you will be familiar with. A couple of years ago in the Oscars, one actor slapped the presenter. Just think about that example, okay? What is the highlight of an actor's life? To win an Oscar. I mean, that is the highest honor they can get. Their whole lives, they're trying to get an Oscar. Okay, so this guy is sitting there waiting, and probably he knows he will get it. Most probably, everything is already, discussed. So he's sitting there, and somebody says something he doesn't like. Now, whether it is right or wrong is not the point, okay? Somebody said something he doesn't like. What is his reaction? He gets up and slaps the person and insults very badly. Now, there are so many ways he could have reacted. He could have stood up and said, this is wrong. And I want to make a complaint in public in front of the whole world. This kind of humor is wrong. He could have just laughed and made fun of the other guy also, a similar joke. But no, he forgot everything. Why he's there, who he is, millions of people watching, he forgot everything. Why? Delusion. Anger has taken over. But it all starts with thinking. Now you may think, well, he's sitting there, he's not thinking about anything. How can you blame thinking for his reaction? The truth is that his disposition is conditioned by his thinking. He reacted that way because he must have had this inner problem already. So due to thinking, we are in a certain frame of mind. We are disposed in a certain way. Somebody says something you don't like, you may just laugh. You may just brush it off. This, why should I be upset? Somebody says something I don't like. Or you may get up and hit them and slap them. The reaction is determined by their state of mind, and that is determined by their thinking, what they are thinking. So we were asking the questions, why should we control the mind? And Sri Krishna gave the answer. Because all our problems, when we try to be good and do good and we fail, is because we fail to control our minds. If we could control our minds, we would have no problem. We will always do the right thing. But the mind, takes over and forces us to do things we don't want to do. So, do we have any questions at this point?
Well, if not, then I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the mind, what is the mind, how do we control it? But on the other side, we also know that we are a creature of our past karmas and our impressions that have probably been there for generations.
Mm-hmm.
And we are sitting here, and there are more that are going to come to fruition as we develop.
Mm-hmm.
So the knowledge of that, what is happening today, is also a reality. And here we are trying to understand how do we change it completely. So are these opposing, or are these, how do we reconcile that?
I could not quite follow. You have to simplify the question.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is we want to take control of the mind.
Yes.
But on the other side, we are also
Conditioned
by our past karmas and impressions.
Mm-hmm.
So are they contradicting each other?
So the question is, we are trying to control our minds, but also our karma is bearing fruit. So is there a contradiction between the two? Like, we are conditioned by our own karma. And the truth is, everything is karma. And we don't know what our karma is. We know the past. That karma is clear. But what will happen tomorrow? My life may be wonderful or may be terrible. We have no idea. What will happen tomorrow? What will happen next instant? We don't know. So karma is a big unknown. So the attitude should be, everything is karma. So when we are trying to control our minds, it's also our karma. As a result of my karma, I'm trying to control my mind. So everything is karma. I don't see a contradiction in the sense that whatever we try to do comes from our karma. The desire to control the mind, that idea arose out of our karma. From that point of view, everything is karma. And whether you turn to God or not is also karma. So nobody can say, I came to Vedanta because it was my choice. We come to Vedanta because God has drawn us, I come from Argentina. I had nothing in my family that could have encouraged me to take this path. But somehow it happened. So, it's just God drawing us. The Divine Mother is pulling the strings and getting everything done. And if she wants, she can control our minds in no time. Our mind will be just our slave. The Divine Mother is in control. That is the final truth. Yeah.
Could this question be formulated as something like, do we have free will? And as probably Thakur said, somebody asked Thakur, do we have free will? Something like that. And so we do have a little bit, like a cow tied to a rope or something like that.
Yes.
So within that constraint, we can desire to do good or control our mind, but the karma will have its effects, something like that.
Yes. So another way to put the question is, do we have free will to control our minds or not? And Sri Ramakrishna spoke of the cow and the rope, that we have just like a cow tied to a post with a rope has a limited freedom to move around. So we also have a limited freedom to deal with our karma. But that is true. But Sri Ramakrishna also made a very interesting observation. Somebody asked him, do we have free will? And his answer is very, very interesting. He said, so long as you have an ego, so long as you are a bound soul, so long as you are in ignorance, you feel you have free will. When you become illumined, you realize there is no such thing. Isn't that interesting? So the saint, the illumined soul, realizes there is no free will. It is the Divine Mother having fun. And these little creatures think they are in charge. And we cannot get rid of that idea. If I put the hand in the fire, I get burned. And if I don't get burned. And I feel I am responsible for that action. It is my choice. I am in control. Sri Ramakrishna says, no, you are not in control. It is the Divine Mother getting everything done. And the realized soul understands this. And for them, there is no free will. But when you are in ignorance, you feel that you have free will. It's part of avidya. It's part of being in ignorance, to feel that I have a say. But because we are in avidya, we have to be responsible. And we have to make use of that free will. So that's a very interesting teaching from Sri Ramakrishna. Yes.
Is everything that illumines all? So Swamis from the Ramakrishna mission and other, illumine souls, does everything they say, is that coming directly, since we don't have free will, is it kind of like a mirror, and it's everything they say is what God wants to say, or also because you keep some ego of yourself, so and you have desires, so I'm just curious.
Well, yeah. The question is, when the Swamis or spiritual people, when they say something, is it coming straight from God or not? Something like that? That is your question? Well, no. The answer is no. You should not think that everybody who wears gerwa is an illumined soul. That's a misconception, okay? So you can be a monk or you can be a layperson. Has nothing to do with being illumined. Nothing. You can be a layperson having a job with kids and be illumined. You can be a monk and be worse than people in jail. So they say appearances are deceptive. A monk has chosen this path to devote their lives to God. That is undeniable. But they are also human beings. So if every nun and monk were illumined, this world would be heaven. So no, you should respect what they say, and it's definitely different from anybody else because they have devoted their lives to God. But not everybody has reached illumination. So we have to use our common sense. Yes. Mm.
How synonymous is that with free will, or even like how far is it related to controlling the mind?
Well, I mean, your question is, it depends on the context. When you say going with the flow, it can apply to anything. You are swimming in the river, you are going with the flow. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But if your friends are going astray and they're doing drugs, you are not going with the flow with them. You say, okay, you go your way, I go my way. So it's all it depends on the context. Hmm.
Should we really think about it or let it go?
I see. Yes. Yeah, our daily life, the things that happen to us, the stress and challenges that we have, should we just go along with them or think about them and try to change things? Again, it's very subjective. Each person has their own way to live their own lives. Some people go with the flow and some people try to change. But in general, it depends again what is happening in your life. I would say that when you have a choice, then don't go with the flow. When you have a choice to change things that can be improved, then try to improve them. But when you see that there is no solution, then go with the flow. It's like is a kind of contentment. It's a kind of acceptance, because everything in our lives cannot be according to our liking. There will be things that we like, there are things that we don't like, and we cannot change. So when you cannot change something, then go with the flow. You accept it, you embrace it. And when you embrace it, it stops bothering us when you really accept it, because everything happens in our lives for a reason. Nothing is random. Whatever happens to us happens for a reason. So whether we like it or not, whether we understand it or not, it happens for a reason. So when that is my philosophy, you know, when you can improve something, when you can change something, try by all means. But often you will not be able to change it, especially when it has to do with other people. I can love you, but I cannot force you to love me. So there's nothing I can do. I can love others, but I cannot force others to love me. If somebody doesn't want to love me, well, too bad, you know, I have to accept it. But that will not stop me from loving others. So, you know, it's a subtle thing. There's no clear answer. Sometimes you go with the flow, sometimes you don't. Yeah.
If there's something that someone else does that really affects you, like, is there no other way to change anything? Like, could you not make a difference if it really affects you? But
you may be able to. So if somebody is doing something that is affecting us, but it's another person, can we do something about it or not? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. So you can try, okay? Of course, that is why I said sometimes when you can change something, you try to improve it. That applies also to relationships, okay? A relationship is not working, but you try to improve it, okay? But what happens when you have tried everything and it doesn't work? What are you going to do then? Are you going to obsess about it and just keep going and going and going and just waste your time? So there comes a point when you say, okay, I've tried everything I could, I let go. And that is going with the flow, just accepting what is. So, of course, you should try. When somebody does something that you don't like, or when there's some problem in relationship, whatever, you try to save it, you try to talk to the person involved, but then eventually, if they are not responsive, what can you do? We can't force them. Once somebody asked this question to Sri Ramakrishna. The question was that, sir, we are told to love everybody, but I find that sometimes I cannot love everybody, and that makes me sad. I am sad because we are supposed to love all, and I am unable to love some people. So what is Sri Ramakrishna's answer? He said, try to reason with them, try to talk to them, to make them understand whatever the problem is. And if they don't respond, if they don't understand, forget about it. It's not worth your energy. You should be thinking of God. Instead of that, you are thinking about this issue. So Sri Ramakrishna says, try to talk to them, try to reason with them. If they are not receptive, if nothing can be done, forget about it and move on. It's a very practical advice from Sri Ramakrishna. Yes.
Swami, you said earlier that mind is subtle matter. And so if the mind is subtle matter, I would think that the intellect also is subtle matter because it's a mind complex. So does subtle matter have the power to see the truth, the God? Because Brahman is all consciousness. And the Upanishads say that it is only through the mind and the intellect that you can turn yourself to the truth. So if this is matter, does it have the power to show the truth?
Well, like we mentioned earlier, Sri Ramakrishna said, pure mind and pure being is the same. Pure Atman and pure mind are the same. Patanjali gives a nice illustration. He says, the mind is constantly breaking into waves all the time, lots of waves. So the yogi, by focusing the mind, tries to create a huge wave. Just one wave, one thought. The mind becomes one wave. When the many waves become one, that wave collapses and there are no more waves. There is no more mind. So the mind ceases to exist, according to Vedanta. It's not that the mind will reveal Brahman, because the mind is, as it were, designed to function in this universe. And Brahman transcends this universe. So something that is part of Prakriti, that is part of nature, that is a phenomenon, how can that manifest that which is transcendental? So what happens is, it is mysterious, it's hard to understand, because you see the illumined soul, they still have a mind. They still talk, they still think. But we cannot understand how they think. It is a big mystery to us. So, yes. Oh, yes. Sure. Universal mind. Yeah, yes. It is mentioned that there is a universal mind, but I am not very knowledgeable to speak in details. These are all like technical subjects of Vedanta that I have not gone deep into. But there is a universal mind, and all our minds are connected to that. And that explains why some people can read other people's minds, or can predict what somebody will say or do, because they have a connection to that universal mind. We are all connected, but I cannot speak much about it. I haven't read much about it. Yeah. Before there is the matter, from Brahman, there is an evolution of the manifested universe, and early in that manifestation, in that evolution, appears the universal mind. And then later on comes this world of matter and these individual minds. That's as much as I can tell. Yeah.
As you were mentioning the one wave that yogis will try to. So for us, whether we want to be evolving towards yogi or not, are we able to? Because we're using mostly our rational mind, but can we try to also get that one wave somehow? Like, because sometimes I feel like repeating the mantras is very surface. It's not deep enough.
Yes.
In our speed. So.
Well, the idea of the mind becoming just one wave, all the different thoughts become one thought, and that is the end of thinking. That is the last thought you will have. That is the concept of Raja Yoga. Patanjali speaks of that. So when you repeat your mantra, you're really doing bhakti yoga. You're trying to think of a personal aspect of God and repeating the mantra, but eventually it leads to the same goal. Sri Ramakrishna said that the Divine Mother can grant you Brahmajnana, Advaita, the knowledge of Advaita. But so the path of bhakti is we surrender to the Divine Mother, we surrender to the avatar, and they will take care of it. Sri Ramakrishna said the devotee does not want to become sugar. They want to taste sugar. So in the same way, a devotee is not too worried about, the mind becoming one-pointed. Yes, it should become as one-pointed as possible, but we surrender to the avatar. It is God who will take care of us. So that is the devotee's attitude. I don't know anything. Even Sri Ramakrishna, the avatar, he used to pray, Mother, I don't know anything. You please do everything for me. I am helpless. The avatar taught us how to pray, how to surrender. But eventually everybody will reach the same state. We will go beyond the mind. Everybody will be liberated. Okay. Now, what about timing? You tell me when to stop. Shall we do the arati now? Okay. Okay. I have no problem. It's up to you guys because today is the last day, so I don't mind going over there. Okay. Okay. So the next question would be how to control the mind. We saw what is the mind, why it is important to control it, and now how to control the mind. I think the first thing is to have an understanding of our own minds, how our minds work. First, you have to know something in order to control it. So we have to be introspective and be able to examine our own minds, what's going on there. Swami Satprakashananda Ji, who was the founder of the center in St. Louis, once he gave a talk, Psychiatry and Vedanta. He gave this talk in a hospital to the doctors. And he made some interesting remarks about how Vedanta can help us with our issues. He said, psychiatry treats ill people. Vedanta deals with normal people's problems. So when somebody's mentally ill, they go to the psychiatrist. And for normal people, we also have our mental difficulties. We have our ups and downs, our challenges. So Vedanta can help people with mental issues to overcome them. The Swami says, Vedanta can help deal with fear, anxiety, grief, frustration, conflict, guilt, suppressed desire, and so forth, by rectifying the inner attitude towards the objects, beings, or events concerned, and transforming the reactions to them. So how? How can Vedanta help with all these mental problems? He says, Vedanta recommends the change of outlook on life because the root cause of mental ailments is one's wrong view of life. So once I was giving this talk, and a psychiatrist was listening. So after the talk, she said, Swamiji, this needs to be updated. She did not agree. Then I said, why? And she said, well, here the Swami says, the root cause of mental ailments is one's wrong view of life. And she said, people have, like from birth, they can have a mental illness, schizophrenia, or, there are so many mental illnesses. So it's not their fault. They don't have the wrong view of life. They were born this way. But personally, I don't see any problem because Swami says that psychiatry deals with mentally ill people and Vedanta helps normal people. So for people, so-called normal, of course, but people who don't need to go to the psychiatrist, we also have mental issues. And the Swami says the root cause is our wrong view of life. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And then he explains a little what he means by that wrong view of life. He says, as long as one looks upon pleasures and possessions as the primary objectives of life, one cannot be free from emotional involvement. So he calls it pleasures and possessions as the primary objectives of life. Kamini Kanchan, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, pleasures and possessions. So emotional involvement comes when we consider this the end of our lives, the aim of our lives. So Vedanta does not condemn the search for pleasures and possessions, but tells the seekers not to look upon them as ends in themselves. So that is what he means by the wrong outlook on life. When we just make pleasures and possessions our whole life, then the trouble begins, stress and whatnot. All the mental tension comes from this idea that we can only find happiness in this world through pleasures and possessions. So even if we are all spiritual seekers, we know that the pleasures and possessions are not everything. We are trying to live a spiritual life, and still we find it difficult. Still we have mental problems. Why? So Arjuna asks Krishna in the Gita, you are telling me to practice yoga, to have this equanimity of mind under all circumstances, but the mind is restless, turbulent, strong, unyielding. Trying to control the mind is as hard as trying to control the wind. Nobody can control the wind. It will blow wherever it pleases. So Arjuna tells Krishna, controlling the mind is just as hard as controlling the wind. How can I do it? And Sri Krishna agrees. He says, without doubt, the mind is restless and difficult to control. But through practice and renunciation, it may be controlled. So this is how to control the mind. Practice and renunciation. Abhyasa and Vairagya. Two scary words. And you will hear them again and again in the scriptures. Abhyasa and Vairagya. What is the means? Abhyasa and Vairagya. So Patanjali says this chitta vritti, the waves of the mind, how to control them. Abhyasa Vairagya bhyam tan nirodha. The waves of the mind are controlled through these two means, practice and renunciation. Somebody asked Sri Ramakrishna, is it possible to find God in this life? Sri Ramakrishna said, yes, but you need Vairagya. You need renunciation. Same word. Then somebody asked Sri Ramakrishna, how can we keep our minds on God? Guess what he said? Abhyasa. You have to practice. You cannot achieve it in a day. You have to practice every day. That is abhyasa. So how can we practice these two? Well, abhyasa, we are told to sit every day, morning and evening, and try to repeat the mantra, try to do service, whatever we can do. That is part of our abhyasa. But vairagya, how to practice vairagya? How can everybody practice vairagya, not just those who live in a monastery? Well, Patanjali has two words, pravritti and nivritti, in his Raja Yoga. Pravritti means the tendency to go outwards. I want to do things. Nivritti means the tendency to go inwards. I don't want to do things. So one way everybody can practice vairagya, renunciation, is try to bring some nivritti into your life. There's too much pravritti in everybody's life. I want to do this, I want to do that. All the time we are going outside. If you're driving the car, you have to listen to the radio. If you are cooking a meal, you have to be listening to something. Try to do just one thing at a time and control the mind at the same time. That is vairagya. You're trying to withdraw yourselves from this world. So this kind of renunciation, everybody can practice, nivritti. So when we meditate, we are trying to practice nivritti also. Instead of seeing and hearing and tasting and smelling, we are trying to shut everything out and think of God. So this is a way that there are no excuses. Everybody can practice vairagya as a form of nivritti, trying to withdraw from activities. You have a Sunday, it's your free day. You have many options. You can go to a club and socialize. You can do so many things. Or you can say, I'll stay at home and I will think of God. I'll read Bhagavad Gita, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. That is nivritti. You're trying to withdraw yourself from the world. This is accessible to everybody. So I think if we get into a new subject, it will take too long. We can stop here. And of course, we have meditation and japa. We have heard this a lot as the means to control the mind. This is our main our Brahmastra. The Brahmastra is japa and meditation. That is the best solution. If we neglect that, life becomes more difficult. It's not that it is impossible, but it is more difficult. If we practice, that will help us in everything else, our japa and meditation. There's a nice story that goes like this. There was a man cutting down a tree, and he was using an axe, and he was not making much progress. So one neighbor saw him struggling, and he observed him for some time, and then he came up to him and said, "You know, I think your axe is blunt, so you're not making much progress." And the man said, "Yes, I know it's blunt, but look at this huge tree. I have so much to do cutting down this tree. I don't have time to sharpen the axe." So this is us telling, I don't have time to meditate. If we do meditate, everything else will be better. Not just for God realization, your concentration will be better, your contentment will be better, your relationships will be better. So take 5 minutes to sharpen the axe. Take some time to meditate every day. Do japa and meditation, and everything becomes easier. So any more questions? Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Krishna Sharanam Rama Krishna Sharanam Rama Krishna Sharanam Sharanam Guru Kripa Hi Kevalam Kripa Hi Kevalam Kripa Hi Kevalam Sharanye Guru Kripa Hi Kevalam Kripa Hi Kevalam Kripa Hi Kevalam Sharanye Jai Jai Rama Krishna Sharanam Rama Krishna Sharanam Rama Krishna Sharanam Sharanye Sharanagatoham 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 Sharanye Sharanagatoham 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 Sharanye Prabhu Rama Krishna Sharanam Rama Krishna Sharanam Rama Krishna Sharanam Sharanye Namah Shri Gurave Namah Shri Gurave Namah Shri Gurave Namo Namah Namah Shri Gurave Namah Shri Gurave Namah Shri Gurave Namo Namah Jai Jai Rama Krishna Sharanam Rama Krishna Sharanam Rama Krishna Sharanam Sharanye Rama Krishna Sharanam Rama Krishna Sharanam Rama Krishna Sharanam Sharanye Guru Kripa Hi Kevalam Kripa Hi Kevalam Kripa Hi Kevalam Sharanye Guru Kripa Hi Kevalam Kripa Hi Kevalam Kripa Hi Kevalam Sharanye Jai Jai Rama Krishna Sharanam Rama Krishna Sharanam Rama Krishna Sharanam Sharanye Sharanagatoham 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 Sharanye Sharanagatoham शरणागतोऽहं शरणागतोऽहं शरण्ये प्रभु राम कृष्ण शरणं कृष्ण शरणं राम कृष्ण शरणं शरण्ये नमः श्री गुरवे नमः श्री गुरवे नमः श्री गुरवे नमो नमः नमः श्री गुरवे नमः श्री गुरवे नमः श्री गुरवे नमो नमः प्रभु राम कृष्ण शरणं राम कृष्ण शरणं राम कृष्ण शरणं शरणं राम कृष्ण जय जय 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 राम कृष्ण शरणं राम कृष्ण शरणं